My dog's throwing up. Are you okay?
Mm.
Kim, we're live.
You okay? Okay, great, cool.
You guys there? Oh, shit.
Perfect.
Can you hear Gretel growling in the background? Is that okay? Oh,
I
good.
can't hear it.
Good. She's just growling.
She's just doing it. She's growling just for you.
She's just growling. She wants attention. She's wants Bryce to pick her up. Okay, that's fine. All right. Good God. She wants you to pick her up.
Oh no,
Ruh-roh.
we lost our.
Oh no.
You just texted me and said kicked me off again. One moment, please.
How are you guys?
How do we know we're not live on Facebook right now?
Oh, we are.
We are, because it says
Oh, we sure are.
Yep.
Oh no, Kim, we can hear that.
I was just checking to see if we were live, and we
Hi.
are.
Hi, Facebook. How's everybody?
We're waiting for
Hello, Facebook.
We're
Our
waiting for our
moderator.
host.
We don't know what to
Yes.
do with ourselves without Emily here.
Why don't we can cheers to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. If anybody's watching, please just hang with us for a minute until Emily gets back. Take a drink.
Or two.
Can you guys believe it's just 1 week until Christmas? Who's done with their shopping? Good job.
How much more shopping do you have left?
I'm done.
I'm not. I feel like I'm not. I might actually be done, but I'm just so disorganized that I'm not sure. Like I have to go through and check what has actually been purchased for my children and just not what I plan to purchase for them. Should probably do that soon. Like pretty soon.
Yep.
Well, here we are.
I hope Emily can come back soon.
I miss Emily.
So
Hi,
weird without
Emily.
Emily.
Come back.
Emily.
This is funny. You get on Facebook and see if you can see us live.
I think you
Let's-
can.
Let's assume so.
Did everyone?
Should we have a sweater showing?
Get
Or
my
a shirt showing?
We can all show our sweaters. All right, Sue.
Okay.
Looks great, Sue.
I know. It's not as sparkly as you guys. I'm jealous.
I have-
Yeah.
But it's more clever. Jacqueline, go ahead.
That's all I got.
I love the
Nice.
kitty and the
Mine is-
Santas.
Christmas flamingos, and it makes noise.
It's very jingly.
Your kitty, if you had a cat, your cat would love that.
I
Do
know.
you
Oh.
have cats?
I don't have cats anymore. I had cats for a long time. And then when our last cat expired was when we got our dog.
Bruce, is this Hawaii Santa you got on your shirt here?
Yes, he's playing his ukulele at the beach.
Oh, that's very fitting for you.
Yes, I think so.
Now, did you buy this or did you have this in your wardrobe?
I bought it today.
Wow.
Good for you. Where'd you
Wow.
find it?
What
And
a good
I can
find.
see we are live on Facebook, so whatever you say, make it interesting.
Too late.
TJ Maxx, yes. Well, why
Alright,
don't
can
we?
you guys see me?
Oh, there's Emily. Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
Emily.
so sorry. I've switched computers. Hold on. Let me put my headphones in. That was exciting. Oh, I
We're
can't.
fumbling about without you, Emily.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, 2020, y'all. We're gonna make it through. Okay. Gallery. Okay, now I can see all of you. Hello. Welcome to Backstage Banter. I'm so sorry that my computer kept kicking me off of Zoom, but I'm back. So hopefully this will all work. Okay. I saw you guys. I was watching you guys on my phone, and I was like, "Where's Emily?" Okay, so here we are. Hello, my name is Emily Briebach. Welcome to Backstage Banter. We seem to have a bunch of people watching with us now, so I think we can get this thing started now that like my adrenaline's like this. First things first, my name is Emily Briebach. I'll be your moderator this evening. Hello to everyone who's watching us on Facebook. We have with us the lovely horn section who was so gracious to come in and join us on this last day before our break, our big holiday break. We have Jacqueline Rainey, Sue Welty, Kim Gilman, Chelsea McFarland, and Bruce Kenny. Oh, apparently my name says Danny Laufer on this too, so I'm going to rename myself.
I was confused by that
I'm sorry.
for a minute.
All right, now I'm myself. Okay. Okay. So since I'm all amped up and I have this burning fire of 2020 Yule log behind my head, I thought that we'd start with something new that we're trying with Backstage Banter, which is a lightning round. So this is holiday themed. So hopefully you guys are prepared for this. So lightning round meaning the first thing that comes to your mind, just one word, and I'll go around the room as it were, and I'll let you know when to start. Okay, so what instrument did you start on? Sue.
Trumpet.
Kim.
Piano.
Jacqueline.
Horn.
Horn, really? Bruce.
Horn.
Oh, wow. Chelsea.
Piano.
Piano. That's what I started on too. All right. Do you eat a meal before a concert? Sue.
No. Yes.
That wasn't a
Yes,
hard
I do.
question.
It is a hard question. What are concerts? Do we remember what going to a concert at night
Yeah, I
was?
know. That's what I do.
Kim.
5,000% yes.
Jacqueline.
No.
Bruce.
Definitely.
Chelsea.
Yes.
I definitely can't. I can't play unless I have food in my stomach either. And Jacqueline, you can't play if you do have food in your stomach?
Yeah, it just makes me sleepy or something.
Oh yeah. I used to do this thing when I first got here where I would eat dinner and then I would stop at the Starbucks before a concert and get one of those like little tiny Starbucks, like the short ones. Just like get a shot of caffeine and then go play a concert. Okay. Do you have more productive practice time in the morning or the afternoon or the evening? Sue?
Morning.
Kim?
Morning.
Jacqueline?
Morning.
Bruce?
Is no an answer?
I think no counts.
No, you really should get at it in the morning. I have to admit, I've been a little lax with that in recent days.
Oh yeah, I hear that. Chelsea?
Morning.
Wow, you guys are on morning. I'm definitely an evening. I think it might be a brass
Oh.
thing.
Hmm.
I remember there was one semester where I came home from college and I would start practicing at like 11 o'clock at night and finish at like 1 in the morning. And that felt great. I felt like I could do it.
Wow.
I used to do that in college too. I
right.
used to practice late, but
Yeah, not so much
Didn't work.
anymore. Okay, here's a tough one for the horn crowd. Mahler, Bruckner, or Strauss? You can only pick one. Sue.
Mahler.
Kim.
Gonna need a minute. I think I'm gonna go Strauss.
All right, Jacqueline.
Strauss.
Bruce.
I would have to say Mahler.
Chelsea.
Strauss.
Strauss. No Bruckners. All right. Okay, now here we get into the seasonally appropriate questions. Charlie Brown Christmas or Muppets Christmas? Sue.
Charlie Brown.
Kim.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Jacqueline.
Charlie Brown.
Bruce.
Charlie Brown.
Chelsea.
Charlie Brown.
All right, we're in agreement here. How about Home Alone or Christmas Story?
Oh my God.
Sue.
Christmas Story.
Kim.
I don't like Christmas Story, but we played Home Alone last Christmas, and I saw that enough times just on stage that I feel like I never need to see it again. So can I say need?
That's fair. Jacqueline.
Home Alone.
Bruce.
Christmas Story for sure.
Chelsea.
Probably Home Alone.
It might be generational too. Like I saw Home Alone when I was I think Kim and Jacqueline and I are similarly aged. So I think I saw that about the a formative time in my youth. Okay, I know this is a little bit, you have to think outside the horn for this one, but Nutcracker or Messiah? I know there's no horns in Messiah, but Sue.
I definitely like the Messiah better. I've played a lot of Nutcrackers in my life, and I don't need to hear it again.
Kim.
Also played a lot of Nutcrackers, but I'm like the freak that really loves Nutcracker, so Nutcracker.
Jacqueline.
Nutcracker.
Bruce.
I guess I'd say, well, if I'm just going to be listening to it, I would
Sure.
maybe go for some of the things from Messiah. But honestly, yeah, Nutcracker is, I mean, you know, that's what we live and breathe as horn players. So
Yeah. Chelsea.
So maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I've never played the full Nutcracker, which is maybe, I don't know, there's something very wrong with that. But so I'm going to go with Nutcracker because I do hope to at least play
What are
it
you
once.
growling at?
We have puppies in Sue's living
Sorry.
room. It's
They're just growling. I don't know what their problem is. Where is? I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially as musicians with the ASO, we don't get a chance to play the Nutcracker and to get sick of the Nutcracker like a lot of people do. So I think I've only played the full Nutcracker once, and I was subbing with the Atlanta Ballet here, so that was my only time playing the full Nutcracker. But it's great music if you don't have to play it 47 times in a in a December.
even then, it's still great.
Yeah. Okay, and then on an ASO theme, Cirque de Symphony or Celtic Woman.
Wow, that's mean. Okay. Wow, Celtic Christmas or Cirque du Symphony, I think.
Yeah, Kim.
It's more fun.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
Cirque, but only if we can cut the little bolero drummer boy thing.
There,
More than anything.
there is. For those who don't know, can you explain what that is?
It's just like they've set bolero to a little drummer boy, but the horn part you just go da, 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 like over for pages and pages and pages in it, and it's not my least favorite of it.
Yeah, little
It's
bolero boy.
It's even worse because there's 4 beats in every measure instead of 3.
Yeah.
So
Oh right. Bruce, how about
Or
you?
notes.
I'd still go with the Cirque show just because it has more variety. I mean,
Yeah.
the Celtic, I love Celtic music, but
Yeah.
for playing orchestral stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea.
Also Cirque, but I have a fond memory of Celtic Woman when there was someone in the very front row having a little too much fun at the concert. And they were singing along very loudly to all of the songs with the singers, which was really entertaining. So
They do. They have a traveling fan club. It's pretty remarkable. They know all of their songs. But these are two classics that we always play. Almost every Christmas we end up playing both of those shows. Okay, and last one. This is a very ASO centric one. Farandole or Sleigh Ride?
Oh God.
Sue?
Kim, you go. Oh, me first?
You're to my left on my screen, so you get the first.
Okay, so Farandole, I don't like playing that. I just don't like playing it. So I guess what's the other one?
Sleigh Ride?
Sleigh Ride it is.
All right, Kim?
Yeah, if you said Farandole or anything else, I would go with anything else.
Farandole or Little Bolero Boy? No.
Little Bolero, I'm not even kidding. Well, I guess Farandole's over sooner, but
Yeah.
since I'm going to go with Sleigh Ride. Hardcore.
Sleigh Ride. Okay. Jacqueline?
Sleigh Ride.
Bruce?
I would say Farandole, but if you're going to survive either one, I think you have to turn it into a game of just thinking about rhythm and enjoying the accuracy of your stupid little part. And
Chelsea, how about you?
Sleigh Ride. I don't know what Bruce is talking about.
Well, I just don't understand how Farandole turned into Christmas music.
Because it's not.
It's not, but we play it every Christmas on multiple. I mean, and we're not the only ones. Like so many people.
No, yeah.
my favorite is when Norman says, "Let's just start this one again."
Just a
at
half a click
rehearsal.
faster.
Yeah, and then we end up playing the whole thing all the way through again.
Yeah, Norman Mackenzie conducts Christmas with the ASO, which is a classic ASO concert that we do every year. And we always have Farandole on that concert, and Norm loves Farandole. He really does. And every year it just gets a little bit faster.
I do like that about him. I
true.
do like that it's faster.
Everything
It's
moves.
fine with me.
I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that he tries to get his Messiah just a little bit shorter every year to see if he can just push the tempo just a little bit. I like that though. That's better than dragging
It's
for sure.
happy.
It's
Yeah,
happy.
for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so I suppose we should talk some horn business since we're here. Oh goodness, we have people pairing up all sorts of crazy movies in the in the comments section here. Carl Fenner says Die Hard 2 or Home Alone 3.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know, Carl. I couldn't tell you.
I've never seen either of those.
Right, yeah. Though my husband was trying to get me to ask, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no, ready, go. And I've honestly haven't seen Die Hard, or if I have, I don't remember
think
it.
that is considered a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I
Wow,
believe so.
Die Hard. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I think it just takes.
I'm impressed that you know that, Kim. I am very impressed. I am. That's
I mean,
impressive. I did not. That's something I
I'm
didn't know
just-
about you.
parroting the masses here. It's not firsthand knowledge.
That's funny. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit of horn business, if you will. So one of the questions that we've gotten in the past, which I really think is nice, is what composer do you think wrote the best or very well for the horn? I won't start with you, Sue, since I keep starting with you. So I'll start at the other side. Chelsea, who do you think wrote the best for the horn?
I mean, in some ways, like, Strauss is very difficult, but also very rewarding once you put it all together. So, I mean, he just had such a good, like, knowledge of the horn, obviously. So that was obviously helped him a lot. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times we kind of get stuck playing not as exciting parts. So to have Strauss that is so, like, challenging and so at the forefront of the orchestra is really, it's just nice to, like, it's a change of pace. And a lot of times we get to play with like 9 people on stage, which is also fun. So.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the days when we can play with 9 other people in our section.
Me too.
Yeah. Bruce, how about you? Who do you think wrote really well for the horn? Or the other side of that question is, who wrote really poorly for the horn?
I think actually that you could say one composer for both questions.
Yeah.
Tchaikovsky. He wrote beautiful horn solos and wonderful melodies for everyone. But for the horns, he just beats us to death right up until you get that big moment. And so if you think, for example, of the opening of the Fourth Symphony, where the horns start off in those octaves, and just imagine us doing that all the way through, just a little bit softer so that we're not like obliterating everything. That's what it's like to play Tchaikovsky symphonies.
So the stamina is a serious issue with Tchaikovsky, but once you get to the moments of glory,
so.
He wrote
one of the
really...
things that makes Nutcracker hard too.
Oh, I see.
The horn writing. I mean, he just.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
For beauty, you got to go with Mahler, I think.
Yeah. So give me an example. Like what about Mahler's horn lines are so beautiful or so well written for the horn?
Oh, if you think of any of the Mahler symphonies, the Fourth Symphony, for example, I like that one because it's the smallest, most compact one, and I like small, compact things. But anyway.
Yeah. Very good. Jacqueline, how about you?
I'd probably say Brahms. I think all of it just lays really well and is always in a comfortable register. At least the higher horn parts are, and a lot of it he wrote for natural horn, so it theoretically should, be easier to play. Maybe not easier, but more comfortable, more natural to play.
Can you explain what the difference between natural horn and the horn that you play is for those who might not know?
Natural horn is just the regular circular horn. There are no valves, and there are different crooks. You can put it into different keys. So there's normally a lot of transposing when we play Brahms now because he was writing for like natural horns in different keys.
So when you say crook, you mean like there's like an extra like piece of tubing that you put into the horn?
Yeah, you can add length or take length away to make the horn change keys.
I see. So because of that, the way you change notes is just with buzzing, right?
Buzzing, and then you use your hand, like you either stop it all the way or you can half stop it. It's a whole different skill set.
But because Brahms wrote for that instrument, it sits more naturally on your horn, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that. As someone who doesn't really know anything about brass instruments, that makes sense to me. Kim, how about you?
I think I'm going to have to copy Chelsea's answer about Strauss. I think both in the orchestral literature, and he wrote two really big horn concertos. And it just, like she said, it's really, it's always really challenging, but it never feels, I feel like it pushes the limits of the instrument without being impossible. Sometimes you're like working on something challenging and you're just like, like I'm never gonna get this. Like it's not meant to be. It doesn't feel good. And with Strauss, even when it's hard, even when it's not working, it always feels like it can.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna say Strauss.
Very good. And Sue, how about you?
Wow. I agree with you. The Strauss horn concertos are fabulous, and I never get tired of them, playing through them and listening to them. And I love Brahms as well, but I have to go with Mahler. I always feel like after I play a Mahler symphony, as much challenging stuff that's in there, my chops always feel better after I play it. And that doesn't always hold true for Strauss.
Can't say that after Hellman.
So I don't always feel that good at the end of a Strauss tone poem, especially the longer ones. But for some reason, I just love all the Mahlers. I love playing all the tunes. They're fun to play. They sound good. He seems to know when it needs to be a solo, when it needs to be a tutti, what's going to carry, he just seemed to really understand the horn, where it sounds the best. Brahms, of course, did that too, but, Mahler took it another step further. So that's my favorite.
That's awesome. For everyone who's just joining us, I would encourage you to put any questions you have for the horn section in the comments, and I will relay them to our horn section. I am realizing now that I don't know what happened when Zoom kicked me off, but have we talked about our sweaters?
Yes, we covered that.
We covered
that was the only productive thing we did while you were away.
Okay, well, my head's on fire, so that's what I've. Okay, so another question that we get pretty often is how much time does it take to prepare a piece in the orchestra? So when you're on practice at home, how much time does it take, and what sort of preparation do you do to prepare something that we're going to play at work? Jacqueline, why don't we start with you?
I mean, it really depends on what it is. If it's hard, it could take a few months, and if it's not, then it won't take too terribly much time. But thing that helps me more like the last few years is just listening a lot.
Yeah,
because you don't always have time to like sit down and actually have the horn on your face, or you're too tired to practice. So I just always try and listen to everything a lot, and just helps me internalize it quicker.
So what would be an example of something that would take a couple months for you to prepare?
Probably like a piece I haven't played, like like the Schoenberg Chamber Symphony or something like that. Like that takes me a while to wrap my head around and really get everything learned well enough that I could perform and not fall flat on my face.
Yeah. Sue, how about you?
Similar answer. I mean, like the newer music, like John Adams, I can think of some stuff like that we did with John Adams that is just stratospheric and high and all over the place and rhythmically complex. That adds a layer of learning, to things. And then like we did this Nick's piece by Salonen a few years back, which was the same way. It's just, rhythmically complex. We rehearsed that all fall. I don't know if you remember that, Emily, but I remember we took it to Carnegie Hall, and then we rehearsed it all through that fall. It was like every time Spano was there, we'd have an extra rehearsal that week, and it would be on that piece because it was that difficult. So I think that's mainly. I mean, a lot of things, by now. I mean, I've played a lot, and where the trouble spots are. You know where you need to oh yeah, this is tricky here, and sometimes you say, well, I really need to have my soft chops going, like the Sibelius Violin Concerto. Yeah, that's a good idea to actually really, really make sure your soft chops are on the tippy top shape. So things like that.
Yeah, the Salonen, I've heard tell about it, but it was before my time. It was,
Okay.
I think the year before I got here. Joe McFadden, our principal bass player, talks a lot about remembering that concert and going to Carnegie Hall with that. Bruce, you gave a thumbs up when we brought up the Salonen. Do you have other
Well,
stuff?
I just thought it was a great piece for horns. It was really cool. It was interesting because, there's a famous photo by Margaret Bork White, the mid 20th century photographer of the New York Philharmonic horn section. And I don't know why I had a print of it, a photocopy of it, to go to Carnegie Hall that time because I wanted to compare the faces with some of the backstage photos at Carnegie to try to figure out who those horn players were. And I had that picture in my coat pocket while we played the concert. And it was interesting because those guys probably played gazillion concerts on the Carnegie Hall stage. And it was like, I was all stressed out. We did a great job, but I could feel those guys. I could feel them with me. Like, come on, you can do this. You can do this. Or yeah, I've been stressed out on this stage before too, but you'll be fine. I'm serious. It was a very moving experience, but it's a great piece for horns. Nyx, NYX.
Yeah, that's really a fantastic story. So 5 of us on this call have been in the orchestral world for a minute or two. Chelsea, you might be you are the newest member of the horn section. I guess, Jacqueline, you make telling time difficult, but I remember when I first got here, I had played for 2 years in the Sarasota Orchestra before I got here, but I didn't have a lot of, the weekly grind of the orchestra system was not something I was used to yet. So I was spending a ton of time preparing everything, even stuff that people said. It's like, oh yeah, I've played that 1,000 times. I was like, well, this is my first Scheherazade, so I'm gonna. Chelsea, does that ring true for you also?
Definitely. I mean, most of the pieces that we play are standards for everyone else that I'm playing for the first time or maybe the second time. So I know Kim does this too, where when you get the season rep, you kind of just read through it. You pull up what you can on IMSLP and over the summer, like the summer before the season even starts, and just see what you can get through. And then you kind of know, like, if there's a new piece that you need to keep your eye out at the library to pick that up as soon as it's out, or that kind of thing. And then it also kind of varies as the season goes on. I feel like at the beginning of the season, I'm always like, I have the first couple months pretty well prepared, just because I've had the summertime to get them all ready. And then, but I feel like I kind of keep a 3-week rotation going on for unless there's something I need to pull out and look at beforehand. But each week I'm kind of looking, I've prepared what's for that week. I might have to touch up some spots after a rehearsal, but I'm kind of looking at things that are 2-3 weeks out. And then, you know, we always have the educational concerts or the things that pop up that you don't get the music for. So I like to be more prepared so that when we do have those like concerts where we're getting the music a day before or that week, I have that time to kind of, because even like other people are like, oh, who needs to really look at those concerts? And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to go through like and listen to and play along to every Indigo Girls song before I show up to rehearsal. So it's definitely, but yeah, I mean, it definitely varies like with each piece. And, but yeah, I do have to spend a lot of time because most of these things I have not played at all before. So,
and even, I mean, something that they don't teach you in music school is that sometimes the Pops concerts are the hardest ones.
yeah.
And you may like
yeah,
poo-poo, like,
true.
oh, John Williams, whatever. And then you get the music and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody in this Zoom call is going to be like John Williams, whatever.
Yeah, no. But I remember being a student and like having to play a Pops concert at a summer festival and being like, E.T., whatever. But it was hard.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that like you're saying, Chelsea, the stuff that we get the least rehearsal for sometimes is the toughest, like the educational concerts, which we get one run for. And for me, like a lot of times that involves like the solo from New World Symphony, which is like the meat and potatoes of my repertoire. And people are like, oh yeah, whatever, just do it in one rehearsal. And I'm like, okay, I need a minute. Yeah. Okay, we have a question in the comments section here. What is everyone's favorite horn piece, concerto or chamber piece to listen to and or to play? Kim, why don't we start with you?
Oh gosh. That's a tough one. I really love the Brahms horn trio to play and to listen to. That is a classic.
That's a good one.
I don't know. I don't do a lot of listening to chamber music, if I'm being completely honest.
How about like horn concerto or even like piece with incredible horn solo? I think that would count too.
You know, I'm thinking of the horn playing that I for sure have spent the most amount of time listening to was an old my first ever CD of horn music was a John Shermanaro solo CD, actual disc that I had when I was in high school. And, you know, that was like, there are no musicians in my family. And that was kind of, and my family did not consume culture in that way where we were being taken to like the symphony or we didn't have a lot of classical music going in my home other than just kind of like the standards. So that was the first time I had heard the horn do these things. And I was like, oh, I'm holding this instrument that I'm holding in my hands that did that. Like, so I think like, if I hear like the Enforay from that CD, I am still filled with that sense of wonder that I felt when I was like 15. And I'm like, oh my God, like I had no idea that could happen. So maybe maybe for nostalgic reasons, maybe that's a favorite.
That's fantastic. I love that. Bruce, how about you?
Well, I have that same record and he'll practically knock you back in your chair. He's a very athletic player.
Peeling the paint off the walls.
No, the horn pieces that I just think are just absolute jewels are the Mozart horn, the quintet for horn and strings, but also the quintet for piano and winds.
That's a great one.
To me, that's like, okay, well, that's perfect. What else can the world do? But that's perfect.
Yeah. I love that piece. That's really tough for the oboe too. That's not a place that we usually sit as the highest voice. So that's always, I always feel like I'm a little bit walking on boards, like a ground that's not quite stable when I play that piece, but it is a great one. Chelsea, how about you?
To listen to probably the Brahms horn trio. Like Jacqueline was saying, Brahms is so good at writing for the horn, and it's really pretty. So, you know, it's just really nice to listen to. But I I think my first horn CD that I ever got, or at least that I remember, was a Barry Tuckwell Mozart concerto CD. And I was like very young. I was only playing the horn for a couple years. And I just remember listening to that and being like, I didn't know we could play 16th notes. And I mean, I think I heard like Mozart 1 as the first track, and I was like, wow. So, you know, I think those first things that we hear that make us realize what we can do is always very, stays in our mind a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's great. Jacqueline, how about you?
I'm a little different. I really, really like movie music. Like my parents would always listen to soundtracks and stuff when I was younger, and just always like I love whenever we do a John Williams concert. So if I have to listen to something that's gonna like make me smile or put me in a good mood, I really like listening to like the Boston Pops. Like they did a ton of John Williams stuff like in the 90s, early 2000s, and I could listen to those albums for days.
That's awesome. Did John Williams write a horn concerto? He did, right?
Yeah.
Is it good? Does it feel like John Williams sort of movie music stuff?
Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Sue, how about you?
Now, is this what we like to listen to or what we like to play? Forget.
Let me refer back one moment, please.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
To listen to and or to play. So let's do both. What do you prefer to listen to? What do you prefer to play?
I really like playing Strauss too. I like
Strauss second horn concerto. That's what you mean by Strauss 2, right?
Yes,
okay.
Strauss 2. Strauss second horn. I like playing through it. It's a challenge technically for me. It has fast scales, which are always something a horn player should practice, I suppose. And then the last movement has a lot of flexibility, and it's rather pointillistic for horn anyway. It's a good test for me. It's a good thermometer of how my playing is going. So I like to go through that just to say, oh yeah, I need to work on that. And I need to work on my flexibility, make sure I'm doing everything that I can to do that, or I really need to connect notes better, fast scales. So I like to do that. Listening, I'm very orchestrally centrist. If I really want to hear, I'd rather put on a Mahler symphony or Brahms symphony, or I love Mozart, of course. I love the Mozart concertos. Actually, I probably would listen to the Mozart concertos. So that maybe Mozart is my favorite to listen to of the concertos, but I tend to listen. I really like the Mahlers. It's funny that I like the Strauss concertos, but I like the Mahler symphonies. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Mahler didn't write any concertos.
Right. If he had, you guys would just.
I wish he had.
I know.
So Mahler 4 is a concerto. I would call that. Mahler 4 is the first horn concerto. So, but a lot of people would claim that one too.
Right. We have another question in the comments section here, which was on my list too. So it's coming up next. How old were you when you started playing, and why did you choose the horn? Or how did the horn choose you? Sometimes it happens that way. We'll start with our two members who started playing on the horn, which is very unusual. Bruce, why don't we start with you?
Well, let's see. I think I was about 12 or 13. I started in a summer band program before my 7th grade year, 6-week band program. And then that fall, I was in a marching band with a French horn. The reason I chose the horn was because I told the band director, he said, what do you want to play? And I said, I'd like to play the drums. And he said, no. and he demonstrated a saxophone, and I was like, I'm not going to put that nasty reed in my mouth.
Hey now.
So, well, I'm just telling you what I thought. And so he wanted me to try the horn, so I did that. It was a junior high school with one of those things where they have temporary classroom buildings behind because they don't have, and this one, the main band building was taken by the high school band. It was one building for junior high and high school. So the junior high band room was a separate building, and I would go in there after school every day and to practice. And he would say, "Okay, I'll see you later. Get the janitor to lock the door." And he would just leave me in there, and I would honk away on all the instruments that were there, and then go home about an hour later.
That's great. It's so funny to me because Bruce, you play so many other instruments. You play the guitar, you play the mandolin, right? Also?
Well, you know, if you get a specific task and you say, "We need you to do this," like it's mandolin in the Song of the Earth or something, I can do that. But no, I would not sell myself as a mandolin player normally.
All right. All right. Jacqueline, how did you end up starting on the horn?
My parents wanted me to start playing an instrument because we're not a very athletic family and needed a hobby. So my mom took me to a music store. We tried everything and it got down to horn or trumpet, which is what I sounded best on. And thank goodness I didn't pick the trumpet.
Amen to that. And how old were you?
10.
10. Okay. Chelsea, how did you start on the horn and how old were you?
I was also 10. It was the fourth grade band program. They were pretty good about, like, they had fourth graders starting on oboe and horn and also tuba, like, which I thought was awesome. But my mom doesn't love this story, but she was a music education major in school, so she could play like basically every instrument. Her main instrument was piano, but I mean, our house was full of every type of instrument. But so at the demonstration they did for the fourth graders, he pulled out the horn. I was like, I haven't seen that one before. And I'd already been taking piano lessons at this point, and you know, I'd be practicing away, and my mom would walk in and be like, "No, it's this one," or "Do this." So
I see where this is going.
I saw the horn. I was like, "My mom doesn't know how to play that." So I chose the horn and practiced away at that. And but yeah, I was 10 and very lucky to have a great band program that I got lessons pretty soon. But yeah, my mom always jokes that I just didn't want her to tell me what to do anymore.
And you're from Atlanta too, right?
I am. Yep.
So what school district did you grow up in that you had band in fourth grade?
That was the city of Decatur. But yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Very good. Go City of Decatur schools. Kim, how about you? You said you also started on piano?
I did. I started taking lessons on piano when I think I was about 5. And then I picked up the horn when I also went to a public school who started fourth graders on horn. And it always, I mean, people ask you this question all the time. And I always think like, what silly things like is going through a fourth grader's head that makes them choose this instrument that they're going to be wedded to for the rest of their lives. But I was just kind of like, oh, that's pretty. And there's no girls playing it. Only boys are playing it. So I think a girl should play it. So I'm going to pick that one. And there we were. But I do remember the band director gave me a little test before she would allow me to proceed with horn. She was like, now this one is a tough one, and I don't let just anyone pick this one up. So what kind of grades do you get? And let's do a little ear training test on the piano. So she made me, she tested me to see if I could match her pitch. And she tested me to see if like she would play 2 notes and she would say which one is higher, which one is lower, just to make sure that I wasn't like, I had like some modicum of like musical ability before she would let me start on horn. So yeah, that's how.
And where did you grow up?
Well, it's funny. I grew up almost totally in South Jersey, in a suburb of Philadelphia. But for 1 year, my family lived in upstate New York. And it was while I was up there that I was in this school system that started fourth graders on horn. And when we, after 1 year, moved back to South Jersey, I was in the Washington Township School District, which is the one next to Glassboro. I think there's 6 Washington Township school districts in New Jersey. That band director did not know what to do with me because I was in 4th grade and he's like, well, we don't start kids on horn until they're in 6th grade. I don't know what. So I think he put me in like the 5th grade band and all the kids were like, what are you doing over there? Like, why don't you have a trumpet like the rest of us? But I was just like, okay, just going to get through this until I'm in 6th grade.
Yeah. Sue, how about you? You said remind me what you started. You said you started on piano.
I started
Trumpet.
on trumpet. Yeah, because I think they didn't keep kids on horn, but I had to have a test as well. And I had the problem of having 5 siblings that all played brass come before me. So I wanted to play drums and I wanted to play saxophone, believe it or not. I was young and stupid. And then they were like, no. And he goes, put your lips together and buzz them. And he goes like this. And I go, like that. He goes, okay, you're playing horn or you're playing trumpet. And I'm like, that is so terrible. And then I was really not very good at trumpet. I hate to admit that, but I was not good. I was not good. And I was, I don't know, I might have been 13th out of like 16 players. But what I did have was a good ear. And basically I had no high notes. That's what I didn't have. So they thought, hey, she's got a good ear. She has no high notes. And we'll put her on horn. It'll be great. And when they told me they were doing that, I was crestfallen. So, but I got over it because, I was kind of good at horn. So it all worked out.
And how old were you when you switched over to horn?
I think it was in between 6th grade and 7th. So
yeah. Very good. I had another question in that same thread, if I can go back and find it. This is from Brianne Turgeon, who's a music educator in Atlanta and a member of our chorus, who asks, should we still teach kids, quote, French horn and do an English horn and have the French and English be capitalized? And I think yes. I don't know. What do you guys think? Jacqueline? It's capitalized, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My phone would capitalize it. So.
I think it counts as the French and the English are both capitalized. Okay, fantastic. So we are nearing the end of our time together, and I do want to get to my very favorite question of all time, which is, can you tell us any funny stories of things that have happened to you on stage or a ridiculous thing that's happened to you at an audition? So Kim, you specifically told me before we started that you have a fantastic ASO audition story, and I do need to hear it. So why don't we hear what happened when you auditioned for the Atlanta Symphony?
All right. Well, I was not feeling that confident about my audition for the Atlanta Symphony. This was in September of 2017, and I hadn't taken an audition in about 5 years while I was having my children. So this was just like everything you shouldn't do when you're getting ready for an audition. Like I bought my plane ticket to like leave right after my preliminary round. Didn't have any like hotel arrangements or anything. So I came in and I played, I was like warming up for my preliminary round and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I just want to go to the airport and like eat a cupcake. I just was not feeling good at all. So I went in and I played my round and I did not get all the way through the list. The committee cut me off when I was about 2/3 of the way through the list, which most musicians know that's not a great sign. So I went off stage and I packed up my stuff and I went into the green room and I was like, okay, well, that was, I felt okay about that, but I missed a few things and it is the Atlanta Symphony. So fine. Okay. And I sat there for a minute and I was like, I really I'm dying to go to the airport and eat that cupcake. So I'm just going to leave. they'll, if I know I didn't pass on because they cut me off in the middle of the list. So I'm like, and my round was the last preliminary round before the semifinal. So I was walking out of the building and I ran into a friend of mine. Her name is Shona Goldberg Leopold, and she's very important to the story and to my current job because I was like, hey, Shona, I'm going back to the airport because they cut me off and I just don't feel like waiting around. And Shona was like, oh no, don't leave. They cut me off too. And I'm here. I just came back because I'm playing my semifinal round and you should stay. And I was like, okay, fine. So I waited around and lo and behold, I had passed on. And I was like, my goodness, like, it was a weekday at 4:00. So if I had gotten on the road to go to the airport, there's no way I would have gotten back in time to play the semis.
Oh my gosh.
So to this day, Shona, if you see this ever now or in the future, thank you so much for not letting me leave. And like, as it happened, I passed on from the semifinal round. So then I was like, I left the building and I was like desperately like calling the airline, calling my husband, calling around to try to find a hotel. Cause I was like, I have to stay here tonight and I don't want to sleep in my rental car. What am I going to do? The whole thing was just a total mess. But it worked out. So
it seems to have worked out for you.
Yes.
And where were you before you were playing here?
I was in the Virginia Symphony for 10 years. I loved that job very much. And it was sad to leave and come here, but it worked out and it was all for the best, I think.
That's awesome. Chelsea, you also told me that you had a really great story of life on stage. What's your story for us?
Mine's not an audition story, but I think we were playing, it was definitely a Mahler symphony. I feel like it was when we did Mahler 10. That was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That was our first year.
Oh, okay. And man, was it really that long ago? But so Bruce and I are, we sit next to each other on stage. And
we're standmates.
Yeah.
Basically.
And, but at the end of this piece, I just had to play like all these really long, soft notes, just like measures and measures of all these long notes. And I was having a horrible, horrible coughing fit on stage in the quietest part of this Mahler symphony. And I was like, this would be horrifying now with the pandemic going on, but like I was like crying, like I couldn't, like, just, that feeling when you can't cough, but you have to cough so badly.
I feel like every musician knows that feeling very well.
And then, I feel like a lot of times you can kind of get through it and play whatever you're supposed to play, but there was no chance. And I mean, Bruce was like leaning over, looking at my part, put up his horn and was like, all right. And it was just like trying to play for me. And I was just sitting there like, tears streaming and like just dying on stage. And I swear the minute that concert was over, I got backstage and I'm sure they all remember I hacked up a lung backstage and just absolutely died. So thank you, Bruce. I truly appreciate it.
It's great to have good colleagues. That happened to me too during like a Bach, something small with like, what felt like about 4 people on stage, and I was coughing up a lung. And I remember Laura Nigerian like patted me on the shoulder and like handed me a cough drop during a concert. On our side of the stage, if anything goes wrong, Laura Nigerian can fix it with her purse. She's got tissues, she's got Tylenol, she's got cough drops. It's really very, very useful. Jacqueline, how about you? Do you have any funny stories?
It's maybe not so much funny. It just kind of shows my stupidity / bravery. So I've taken
With bravery.
Yeah. In the last few years that I would take them, I discovered that if I could get a late enough audition time, I could just fly in that day. So I would save the hotel from the night before. So I would just take like the first flight in, and sometimes if I was delayed or something, it would get a little stressful, but I kind of liked it because I didn't have time to like sit there and get nervous and everything. So I've done this a lot, like in and out one day. It's most of the time it's worked out. There've been so I was pretty comfortable with doing it. Well, when I decided to take this most recent ASO audition, it was pretty late in the game, and I had already agreed to, I was in LA at the time, but I'd already agreed to play with Boston Symphony that week. And I was like, okay, I think you can make this work. So it was a Wednesday, and I played a morning rehearsal and an afternoon rehearsal in Boston, had my bag backstage, just went straight to the airport, came here, landed. Zach Boating, our associate oboe player, picked me up at the airport, drove me right to the hall, went in and played, and it went well. And then I got up the next morning, took a flight back to Boston, played a dress rehearsal, and had a concert that night. And I hadn't told anyone in Boston that I was taking the audition in case like all this travel planning didn't work. So I got in there that morning, and how was your night? And I was like, well, went took an audition. They're like, what?
Were you late, Jacqueline? Were you late to
Like
the rehearsal?
5 minutes. Yeah. So they
I love
come
it.
and everything. It was great. They were all, we were like, you were just here. How'd you get down there and back? So those direct flights, that's the way to go.
Right, especially in Atlanta, you can do that from Atlanta. It's easier. Bruce, how about you?
Well, I long ago left behind any sense of heroism or desire to be a solo horn player. But in my 20s, you're basically freelancing. You find yourself in situations. And Russell Williamson and I were playing as the horn section in a group called the Texas Chamber Orchestra in Houston. And it fell upon me to be the soloist in the Britain Serenade for tenor, horn, and strings. And the place that we played was a church fellowship hall with 3 glass sides. And when you get to the very last bit of that piece, the horn soloist is supposed to play from off stage somewhere, the epilogue. And so I had it worked out with Russell how I was going to get to where I was supposed to play the epilogue, which happened to be the actual lobby behind the audience, because it's supposed to sound like far away and distant. So I went out the back door to go around the building or underneath the building or through whatever other room, and we got our signals crossed, and I couldn't find Russell. I didn't know if I was going through this way or that way or what to get to the part behind the audience. And so I had this natural horn, nice and light. The epilogue is written for natural horn. And I didn't want to walk by the glass walls where the whole audience could see me. Like, where's that guy going? He's still got to play. So I ran out into the darkness around the whole building of the church next door. And while the tenor is playing his last song, I'm running through the darkness with this natural horn around the building, get to the lobby just in time. And it's like, and it worked out. But anyway, I guess that's maybe one of the reasons that I avoid such notoriety in my actual later career.
I think that actually happened when I was at Oberlin. There's offstage horn parts in Mahler too, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they got locked out of where they were supposed to be.
Now that's funny.
I wish I could remember this. I mean, I was on stage, but like they're supposed to be off stage, like, and they were only playing off stage, and then they were like downstairs, like in the green room, like, screwing around, and then they were supposed to be, and then the doors had all locked behind them, and they couldn't get to where there's not a lot of offstage English horn, so this isn't something.
There's some though, right? Isn't there some?
There is some. There's Tristan, which we were supposed to play at the end of last season. It's sad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's fine. We'll do it at some point. Sue, how about you?
God. Okay. Now all this talk has made me remember stuff. But,
Oh, good.
Offstage Mahler 2. First time we did Mahler 2, I'm playing fifth horn, And we had a bunch of extras we weren't going to do it with 10, never. Leola Levy didn't want it with 10, but we chose the people that were sitting at the end of the section. You're going to get up because you don't really have a part, and you're going to go off stage and you're going to do that. Well, Levy didn't like that. They played, and then he stopped the orchestra, and he looked at Bryce, and then I was very young. I don't even think I had tenure actually.
So Bryce was the principal horn, who is also now your husband.
He looked at Bryce, yes, but at the time, I didn't have tenure, and he goes, "She will go off stage and do this."
Levy said that?
Yes, she will go off stage and do this and play it by herself. Well, it is on a high C, and I'm sitting there like, I'm not going off stage. This is not my part. I am my part. See my part? This is my part, and I'm playing while this is going on. And I'm like, how are you gonna? And then Bryce made it. He just said, "We'll fix it for the next rehearsal." But I remember thinking like, "Oh shit," But sorry, you can't take that.
I don't have the censor button.
No. Oh darn. And so I did that, and yeah, and so. That was interesting, but I've done some pretty silly things in my life. I mean, I would say, I think I told you guys before, I played the Bruckner. I think it was 8. I can't remember, but we were doing it with Runicles, and I was kind of spacing out. I think I counted 1 8-bar rest twice, and I'm really enjoying the music. I'm sitting there with my tuba in my lap, because it's usually tuba and horn. I'm sitting there with my tuba. So at least I have my tuba.
Sorry to interrupt, but tuba, you mean Wagner tuba, which is played by horn.
I had my Wagner tuba in my hand, at least in my lap. I knew I was getting ready to play Wagner tuba, so it wasn't like on the floor, thank God. And then I'm like, whoa, you like dawns on you like, wait a minute, and you gotta go. But he waited. It was like this. I'm sure there was like a horror. I mean, if it had been filmed, you would have seen like this, like, oh, no. And I lifted my Wagner tuba up and I played. But he did hold it. He looked at me. He goes, that scream. Anyway, so that I did do that.
You're just waiting for the moment to be right. You're waiting for the air to clear and.
I did talk to him after that, and he said, "No, it was beautiful. When you came in, it was beautiful. It was fine." I'm like, "Thank God it was beautiful." I mean, because that would have been even doubly horrible. So, yeah, I got lucky on that one.
That's fantastic.
That's not usually the way it happens.
Right?
Right? Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great. This has been so much fun catching up with you guys. I really appreciate you taking time on your Friday night. I do want, since I have a captive audience here, to remind everybody who's listening that tomorrow, the 19th of December at 7 p.m., you can catch an Atlanta Symphony concert on 11 Alive, which is the NBC affiliate here in Atlanta. If you are not in Atlanta and you want to hear a lovely Atlanta Symphony concert at 7 p.m. tomorrow, you can go to 11alive.com, which is 11alive.com at 7 p.m. tomorrow, or also at 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. on Sunday. Check out the ASO website. There's, I think, 1 or 2 other Christmas holiday concerts that will be broadcast. I think there's one on GPB, which is our PBS affiliate, next week. But there's lots of opportunities to hear us. If you haven't purchased a subscription, we have a new set of subscriptions available for this coming spring. We have 13 concerts that are going to be produced over live stream, or we will record and you can listen back. So please, again, check out aso.org. And if you want to hear us play live, because we are playing live at the time. We haven't talked about that here today. We've talked about this in other banters, but we are playing these concerts live, and they're getting recorded. So you get to see us doing what we do, unfortunately without an audience, but we're hoping that you're listening from home. And with that, I would like to give a big old cheers to all of you that we somehow have survived 2020. We got through this. And here's a big cheers to 2021 being a better year than this.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have made it so much fun to hang out tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Emily, can I say one more thing?
Yes, of
The
course.
ASO Holiday Brass Concert is available to view on the website. You can buy a single ticket for it. Everybody should go check it out.
Yeah, you'll hear all of these guys. That's a great point. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you everyone for joining us on Backstage Banter in 2020. We'll be back in 2021, hopefully with the oboe section in January. That's what I'm hoping. But again, thank you everybody. Have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. See everybody in 2021.
Thanks, Emily.
Bye.
Thank you.